Hey guys, the show will begin right after some introduction music from Truth Vibrations, Slave. And stay tuned for some outro music at the end from Gambler Huggins, God's Guts and Guns. Let's go.
And try to wake people up and impart this knowledge to them. And find out that they just have walls built in front of them. They want to be slaves.
I ain't never gonna be a slave. I ain't never gonna be a slave. I will never play their games. I will never be their slave. I will never wear them chains. I will never be afraid. They gon' have to put me in the grave, cause I ain't never gonna be no slave. Yeah, I will never be afraid. Bill Cooper probably rolling in his grave. I look around and all I see is mind slaves, blindfold on their brain with a muzzle on their face. Yeah, and I will never back down. There's no timeline where that ever goes down. Before I take that vaccine, you'll be hearing that sound. Best believe before that happens, I'll be clapping out rounds. Yeah, fuck the new world order. They lead lambs to the slaughter. Poison in the food, air in the water. So I fight for the future of my daughter's sake, and hope that it make a difference. Either way, I'm with it, God is my witness. This system vicious, I will never be complicit. Fist and resistance to the finish. Talk about, I ain't never gonna be a slave. I ain't never gonna be a slave. I will never play their games. I will never be their slave. I will never wear them chains. I will never be afraid. They gon' have to put me in the grave, cause I ain't never gonna be no slave. Yeah, I will never be a slave. Chant down Babylon, tell I'm in the grave. Yeah, I will never be afraid. Spit my last breath in the enemy's face. Stand tall against the wicked. Spiritual warfare, that's how we living. You sleepwalking, you don't even know the difference. The fluoride in your water got you tripping, and I can see it in your vision. You brainwashed by the television. Their propaganda got you under a spell. Living in a mental prison ain't no different from a cell. I'm God body, I'm a vessel for the essence. You can count your money, I'll be counting all my blessings. My head high till I take my last breath in. Fist in the sky till I exit. Talk about, I will never be a slave. I will never be a slave, no way. Never comply, never obey. I ain't never gonna be a slave. I will never be a slave. I will never be a slave, no way. Never comply, never obey. I ain't never gonna be a slave.
Sheeple is what they are. They are following the Judas goat right into the shearing pins, and from there they will go to the slaughter, and they will not know that anything is wrong until they smell the blood of the sheeple in front of them.
Hey, what's up guys? This is the Mansplaining Mike Show where wokeness comes to die, and today I'm going to show you why we need to 1776 again. No, but seriously, I'm going to show you how we've been pretty much taken over by a foreign country. It's supposed to be an allied state, but they've been caught spying on us and all types of other stuff. So I'm going to put links to that in the description box below today. Guys, I know I forget to do that a lot of the time. I'm really going to do it though, so make sure to check into the comment sections below so you can see what I'm talking about. So before we get into the state of Israel, we're going to get into that little disclaimer video that lets you know not to hate your neighbors, because some of them probably don't believe this stuff. I'm not saying all of them don't, but most of them probably don't, or a majority. Or maybe it's not the majority. Probably not the majority. But a lot of them don't believe in this stuff anyway, guys. So let's get into it. Don't hate your neighbors. Don't go out and attack anybody, because I don't want to get blamed for it. Let's just keep it real. I don't want to take any of the blame for any craziness that happens. So here's the little disclaimer. You can see this is a Jewish rabbi who doesn't believe in all that Talmudic stuff. And at least that's what he's claiming. So let's get into it and see what he has to say.
As an American Jew, devout to Judaism, I beg you all, please, don't call Israel a Jewish state. Call Israel a Zionist state. Call it Herzlstan. Call it however you like. But for the sake of humanity, for the sake of the Jewish people, just stop calling it in the name of an entire religion.
I mean, guys, that seems fair. It's not all of them. I mean, let's just take notice to that. It is probably most of them, from what I understand. There's like a handful of sectors who don't believe in it. And now let's get into the radicalized ones and how these ones are actually violent. And they're locking up people like Mahmoud Khalil for speaking out against the Jewish state. And this guy's doing it to other countries, so why can't Mahmoud Khalil talk about Israel, but this guy can talk about the Palestinians? Everybody should be held to the same standard. In this country, we're supposed to have a separation of religion and state. It's guaranteed to us in the First Amendment. It doesn't use those exact words, as people like to point out often, but if you actually read the First Amendment and just don't listen to those people talking to you about it, you'll see why I say it's in there. It's just worded a little bit different. Anyway, guys, let's get into this and look at this crazy guy talk about how he wants to kill people.
Palestine to my dick!
What do you think the response should be from Netanyahu and the military to Gaza?
Kill all Palestinians! All of them! Not one left. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be deceased!
And Israel need to do like this. You see? Now Gaza. Like this. Gaza need to do like this. Or like this, but all this Jewish. Two options.
What do you think the response should be to Gaza?
We gotta wipe them off the fucking map. I'm talking about every fucking flatten them like a parking lot.
I'm not stopping till all Arabs are wiped out.
I think now it's the time that we need to erase Gaza. There is people inside, our people inside, that kidnap, and now we need to kill all of them and free Israel. All of their belief is killing Jewish and killing and murder our people.
Flatten Gaza.
Man, that sounds like some terrorist threats right there. They're talking about blowing up a whole country, flatten it, kill everybody in it. But none of them are getting arrested. They arrested Mahmoud Khalil, though, for peacefully protesting. He wasn't calling for the death of anybody, as far as I can tell, guys. They said he had some flyers they didn't like. And he didn't even have them. It was other people at the thing that had them. But these people don't ever get deported. Why don't they have to go to the Jew-only state? I mean, they got their own state. Why are they trying to be supremacists in America? Go to y'all state. Y'all the ones who wanted it. And stop asking us to back you up and give you all our weapons and give you all our money so you can fight against people that haven't really done anything to us. I don't want to fight against anybody who hasn't done anything to us, and I don't want our money going to it either, because that's technically fighting. But anyway, let's see how else these Jewish protesters act, and see if we think that this is terrorism or violence, or why aren't they being prosecuted? Why don't the news talk about this?
Huh? You have a problem? You fucking
Don't you fucking touch me, bitch. Don't you fucking touch me.
Every fucking Palestinian!
Who the hell are you? How dare you?
For those that don't know, he's shooting nails at people. That's a nail gun right there.
Why are you doing that? You just shot that at me. And you shot me.
Huh?
Call the cops.
Huh? You have a problem? You
Don't you?
Look, that's crazy. They can go around terrorizing students, people that are working, walking down the street, protesting. They can get in the way of people practicing their First Amendment. And that's not terrorism for some reason. For some reason, only speaking out against them is terrorism. It doesn't make much sense, guys. It should be what's good for them is good for everybody else, too. Everybody should be getting the same treatment. But it seems like America's been taken over. We don't have any rights as Christians in this nation. The Muslims don't really have any rights. But the Jewish people, they can do whatever they want. Shoot nail guns at people walking down the street. And guys, just to stick to the topic of have we been taken over by Israel and how we need the 1776 again, here's proof of it right here. There was a young man attending college, a young man from another country who got his green card here. He comes from Palestinian heritage. He came here, he went to school, he even impressed some of his professors. This professor is sticking up for him. They're calling him a terrorist in the news, but the professor is saying he wasn't out to intimidate anybody. And he didn't intimidate anybody, according to this Jewish professor. So even he's tired of the Jewish people acting like victims all the time and trying to take over the country. At least that's how it seems from this speech. because at least he's taking up for the First Amendment. And I'm surprised. Usually these liberal professor types, they don't care about people being deported or, the First Amendment or any of our rights. They want to take our guns and everything else. But this guy decided to come out and say, hey, Khalil wasn't doing none of those, or Mahmoud wasn't doing any of those things, so he shouldn't be getting deported. So let's take a look at what this Jewish professor has to say.
Good morning. My name is Joseph Howley, Howley, and I'm an associate professor of classics at Columbia University. The last time I spoke at a press conference was April 18th. That day, police officers in crowd control gear entered our campus for the first time in decades and carried off dozens of students who were peacefully and quietly encamped on one of the enclosed lawns in front of our library, threatening no one. As I watched this unfold in horror, I was asked to speak at an emergency press conference alongside Mahmoud, who had just been asked to negotiate on behalf of the encampment. It is always dangerous to speak in public for Palestinian rights, safety, and freedom with your face uncovered and your name declared. You can be sure you will be harassed, doxxed.
And that's not how it's supposed to be. That's not what the First Amendment called for. They call for the First Amendment speech to be protected at all times, whether you agree with it, disagree with it, love it, or hate it.
Terrorized. People will try to get you fired from your job for speaking here. I will receive a new round of death threats, slander, complaints to my employer. When I step down from here, I will publish these remarks to protect me from the inevitable attempts to misrepresent my words. And Mahmoud, as a student negotiator, took these same risks and many more. Mahmoud is a man of decency, honor, and kindness. He has distinguished himself in his work as an advocate and negotiator, as someone committed to peaceful resolution of difficult situations. He is a consummate diplomat in his disposition and his character. What the Trump government is doing to Mahmoud is obscene. It is unreasonable, intolerable, unconstitutional. So why do they think they can get away with it? The Trump administration is betting that Americans will happily look the other way as one more Palestinian is victimized here on American soil.
Hey, don't look the other way, because he had a green card. If they'll do it to him, why wouldn't they do it to us? I mean, just think about it. This guy did everything he had to do to become a permanent resident. Probably was going to work on becoming a naturalized citizen. But instead of doing that, he has to be working on getting free from a jail cell. The guy was at Columbia University doing good for himself. We just basically stole his livelihood from him. All because he doesn't support a foreign country.
Betting that when you hear Mahmoud's name or the word Palestinian, the parts of you that make you a thinking and rational and caring person will switch off, and you will believe the worst about him, and you will turn a blind eye to these grave violations of his rights. And after what I've seen over the last year and a half, I'm not sure they're wrong. Anti-Palestinian groups have spent all year casually leveling the most dangerous accusations on the flimsiest grounds, and members of our own community have repeated them. Don't like seeing a kafia? Call them a terrorist and call the cops. Don't like their views? Call them anti-Semitic and get them expelled. Don't like that your Jewish colleague has the chutzpah to say free Palestine? Report him for Jew hatred to a university task force. Don't like seeing a broad and diverse movement of courageous young people standing together against the ethnic cleansing of Gaza? Call your friends in the government and send the feds to their door. As an educator, it disgusts me that anyone who wants to be taken seriously in association with a university would deal so ignorantly with language and truth. But more than that, I am ashamed as a Jewish person that this kind of slander has found currency in some parts of my own community in service of the racist and anti-Semitic Trump agenda. Trump's claim that this atrocity combats anti-Semitism is insulting. We will not take lectures on anti-Semitism from segregationists and neo-Nazis.
I don't think Trump is a neo-Nazi. Just to be clear, I don't think Trump is any of the things or the names he's throwing out. Like I said, most of these guys are left-leaning. I expected some crazy talk. I didn't expect them to say that. But let's keep going, guys. You know, I'm just looking at what he said and reporting on it.
We will not allow a white supremacist president and his party to claim the mantle of Jewish safety as they...
Trump isn't a white supremacist at all. In fact, he did a whole lot to get rid of a lot of the white supremacy that was going on because of the 1994 crime bill that was written by the Democrat Joe Biden. So we can pass up this part of the speech. That doesn't make any sense. Trump isn't doing that because he's a anti-Semite. In fact, Arabs, we check the box that says white when we take the census here in America. There's no Arab box. We're just white like everybody else who's white in this country. So it's not white supremacy.
Shred the Constitution and spin outlandish legal theories to justify the suppression of dissent and the brutalization of those who oppose war and apartheid. One of the most insidious forms of prejudice toward Jews is the trope of dual allegiance, which suggests that we Jews, because of our ethnicity or religion, have secret political commitments at odds with the communities we live in, that we are not to be trusted, that you should always believe the worst about us. When Donald Trump sneers at globalists, this is what he means. And when I see people unquestioningly trafficking in the wild...
If that's what he means when he's smearing the globalists, let's go Trump! But he's been nothing but good to the Jewish people, so I don't really know what this guy is talking about. He gives Israel a ton of money even after we say we're not going to keep funding foreign countries. This show is about how we've been taken over by Israel. I'm not saying Trump will always support Israel. I mean, I pray to God that he turns on. I mean, that's kind of why I voted for Trump. I thought he was going to turn on Israel. We would stop funding this type of shit. But that hasn't happened so far. In fact, we've just been sending more and more to Israel.
Wildest assertions about Mahmoud, just because he is Palestinian, I hear the exact same kind of prejudice that drove generations of my own family from their homes in Europe. Anyone who spread the lies about Mahmoud that resulted in his detention should be ashamed. And if you find yourself believing whatever someone tells you about Mahmoud just because he is Palestinian or because he spoke up against a murderous war that you somehow still support, I can only implore you to scrutinize your own soul. Why are we here? Because we want our friend back. But we are also here because what happens to Mahmoud could happen to any of us. If they can strip the green card from a lawful permanent resident, they can do whatever they want to a citizen. If you're waiting for permission to think of this as a crisis, here it is. What has been done to Mahmoud goes far beyond whether or not you agree with the cause of Palestinian liberation. Where exactly are we in the poem that begins, "When they came for the communists, I did not speak out"? Well, they've already come for the asylum seekers. They've come for the migrant families. Now they've come for Mahmoud Khalil. It's not a very long poem. So how far down the list do you think you are?
We absolutely should go after the illegal immigrants. I don't know where he's going with this. But like I said, I knew when I heard he was a professor, it was going to go kind of far to the left eventually. I agree with him on what he's saying about Mahmoud and the Palestinians, but calling everybody a white supremacist and saying that they hate Jewish people, it's going a little bit too far.
I've been proud to stand as a Jew beside Mahmoud Khalil and call for a free and just and peaceful Israel-Palestine. It is my honor now to stand before you and call on what remains of the United States government to do the right thing and free Mahmoud Khalil. Thank you.
I mean, I hope they free him too. I hope people don't buy into the propaganda he's pushing, though, about people being white supremacists, racists, and all that. The only supremacists really are the Jewish people at this point. They're the ones who are saying they're better than everybody else. They're the ones who have a book saying that they should be able to spit on Christians, rape Christians, kill babies, rape babies, and all types of sick stuff. It's called the Babylonian Talmud. If you guys have never heard of it, you can look on my page on Facebook, Mike B. Mansplaining, or Mike Mansplaining, and or Mansplaining Mike, and you can look on there and you'll be able to see what the Talmud talks about. I posted like the 20 most shocking things that you'll ever hear from the Talmud in there. And I think when you hear it, you'll change your ideas of who's a terrorist. If you think that Israel is somebody we need to be saving and Palestinians are terrorists, you might learn something from that. So anyway, check it out if you guys have time.
Jack Posobiec said it this morning, and I tend to agree with him. It's like, hey man, they're trying to make proclaiming Jesus as king, they're trying to make it illegal. They're trying to smear that whole deal to where people can't say it. All because there's a special group of people that feel like they can discern. Oh, because I saw this Johnny Moore, he wrote something over Twitter or posted something that I guess is in this full explanation. Oh, when Jack Posobiec uses it, he's doing it for good reason. And we just included Jack Posobiec's tweet in there in a way to smear him, but we really weren't smearing him. Well, you know, when he does it, it's a good thing. So that we can all discern Jack Posobiec, or they can discern Jack Posobiec's motives. And they've discerned Candace Owens' motive. She's doing it for evil. There's no other explanation. Hey, man, the Bible's crystal clear on this about judging motives. We can't do it. We're not capable of that. No, we can put, hey, that's wrong, that's right, blah, blah, blah. But motive? It's not our job. And so I tend to think hey, Pasabiak is right, because this comes from out of nowhere. And no one was talking Christ is king, and now all of a sudden the Daily Beast has a story, and these people have to be expelled, and the National Contagion Resource Institute, something invented in 2018, they've now, Christ is king, boy, on Elon's X platform, man, when it's used, it's done to slur the Jews. This is a psyop. Jack Pasabian.
100%. They're trying to cancel Christ is king as a phrase we can say here in America. Again, the separation of government and state. They're not supposed to censor religious speech. They're not supposed to censor speech at all. That's what the whole First Amendment is about. This stuff is getting ridiculous, guys. We're not going to have any rights left if we keep going on through this. And then you can see that there was a U.S. hostage envoy spokesman named Bowler. He was reportedly taken off of the Israel file after interviews go sideways. I think this should be the interview right here. So here it is, guys. This is the interview that got him reassigned, taken off of that negotiations having to do with the Hamas thing. All he said is that the Palestinians aren't devils, and he wasn't able to return to work and do his job.
With Hamas, maybe I would see them and say, look, they don't have horns growing out of their head. They're actually guys like us. They're pretty nice guys. So he doesn't know me, and there are big stakes. He lives in a country where if it sets certain precedents, then it will hurt or help a lot of other people. So I understand the consternation and the concern, and I wasn't upset. At the same time, we're the United States. We're not an agent of Israel. We have specific interests at play.
Understand why Netanyahu, Dermer, others might be upset.
Yeah, guys, so you can see there. That's the reason why he was taken off of the negotiations. Here you can see it's being posted by the Times of Israel. They're saying that's why he was taken off, that little interview you just saw. It doesn't make much sense, guys. I mean, clearly we're being controlled. Let's see who we're being controlled by. Thomas Massey seems to talk about it an awful lot. He's one of the only people that does.
With the constituent, I do. In fact, I'll meet with people from my district who might be in AIPAC. I just tell them you got to take your badge off before you come into my office. I'll meet with you as a constituent, but I'm not going to meet with you as a representative of a lobby for a foreign country. And most of them don't want to take me up on that deal when I say I'm not going to accept foreign lobbying in this office.
Why is the Foreign Activities Registration Act not enforced against AIPAC? It's the biggest representative of foreign government in Washington, D.C.
Well, it absolutely should be. I mean, and recently I think they've tried to convict people for not being registered lobbyists of foreign countries. Now, the first explanation you will hear somebody say is, well, everybody in AIPAC is an American citizen. But that doesn't exempt you from the Foreign Agent Registration Act. Like, if you're representing a foreign country, then, there you go. It doesn't matter what country you're a citizen of. So I think people misunderstand the act, and I think they should absolutely be subjected to that. It's registration, it's transparency, and then you could know who's the person who is on the buddy system with each member of Congress. Pretty reasonable to me.
Yeah, we could get rid of the Congress members who had the AIPAC babysitter. That's what we need to do. We need to take control of our country again. There used to be a punishment for being traitors to the country. It was called a piece of rope. And when you get caught dealing with foreign actors, you would get it. Because that's not what this country was designed for. We were designed to be an independent country. If you're trying to infiltrate us from within, there's a punishment for that. That's a crime. That's being a traitor. It's treason. Anyway, guys, let's see what Candace Owens had to say.
Look at the list of the people who were part of the study. So I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 individuals who took place in this study. The first principal investigator there that you have, Dr. Lee Jussum, is Jewish. Dr. Jordan Peterson has said he does not believe in Christ. We're going to get to him in a second. So he's unknown, I guess we could say, an atheist, perhaps. Reverend Dr. Johnny Moore, who I would refer to as the token Christian because he's the only one. And he's the one that retweeted this study and got this going this morning. We're going to speak more about him. Then we have Dr. Joel Finkelstein, who is Jewish. We have Jacob Zucker, who is Jewish. We have Danit Sarah Finkelstein, who is Jewish. We have Sonia Yanofsky, who is Jewish. We have Alex Goldenberg, who is Jewish. We have Ohad Fadida, who is Jewish. We have Gideon Furher, who we checked, and he is Jewish. We have Simon Lazarus, who is Jewish. And the last two, Anisa Jagdeep and Ankita Jagdeep, are presumably Hindu, but they are Indian. So this is a study that was funded by Jews to make Christians war with one another during the Lenten season. That is problematic to me.
It's problematic to me too, and that study was about saying Christ is king and anti-Semitic, and how does it make them feel? So they're trying to make it illegal to even talk about Christ here in America. This isn't Israel. We can talk about whatever we want. We have that thing called the First Amendment, and if the Jews don't like it, they're going to have to get the hell out of here. I mean, if you don't like our rights, leave. You got a whole country that you overtook. You threw people out of their homes. You took it over. And now you're trying to be taking over our country too, taking over our government? No, go back home if you don't like our First Amendment. You don't got to stay here. I mean, that's not really your home anyway. If you were going to go home, that would mean back to the Ukraine and Poland and places like that. And here, guys, you can see some of the people that's being affected by their violence over there. This kid doesn't look like a radical Muslim terrorist, does he? But he's being targeted. His family's being killed. He looks like a normal American kid to me. I mean, the only reason you're going to know he's from there is because he's speaking in Arabic and what he says. So let's get into it and see what he says.
أنا زعلان كتير كتير.
ليش أخي زعلان؟
على اللي بيصير بلبنان.
لازم تدعي لهم هالقيت، هم بحاجة لدعائك.
الله ينصرهم، الله يحميهم، الله يقويهم. وقفوا معنا كتير كتير، وقفوا معنا، الله يقويهم. بنتمنى ما يصير فيهم زي ما صار فينا بغزة. الحياة اللي احنا عايشينها مش حياة. العرب مش سهلة، العرب مش سهلة، العرب قوية. أنا حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل. تعبنا كتير، تعبنا. حرام يصير فينا زي هيك، حرام.
حسبي الله ونعم الوكيل.
حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل.
خلص يا حبيبي خلص.
أنا زعلان.
That's what we're funding. The bombing of children like him. Children who just want to live. It's crazy, guys. They're not really trying to take out terrorists. They're trying to take out families. They're trying to take out Arab families. You saw it for yourselves. They were talking about killing all the Arabs. That's what they wanted to do, the protesters here in America. So you can imagine how bad it is over there where they're being taught that you have to go out and kill. And that's what you should do. And you've been promised this land that they don't have anything to do with because it wasn't promised to them. It was promised to the people of Judea. That's who the Jews were in the Bible. And Judea is gone. So those Jews are gone. We need to just call it what it is. They're trying to take out a whole race of people. They're trying to commit a genocide. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show. I hope you learned something from it. This is the Mansplaining Mike Show. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this with some sissy who will cry about it for the next 40 years. And I'll catch you guys on the next one. I'm out.
chest infection. Wide open border with no protection. Mainstream media cover up connection. Lying to the people and stealing their election. If it weren't for the NRA, wouldn't even be a USA. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. We need a not so subtle truth injection. When they call it revolution, call it insurrection. I'll give that one a big kiss my ass rejection. It'll never pass the test on lie detection. If it weren't for the NRA, there wouldn't even be a USA. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. Lay it all down on the line for truth and liberty. If old George was alive today, he'd be a member of the NRA. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. They turned the DOJ into a weapon and pointed it straight at the opposition. They took all the patriots and threw them in jail. And let the thugs out of prison without any bail. If it weren't for the NRA, there wouldn't even be a USA. It's God's guts and guns to keep America free. We gotta stop right now and look and see what the left wing has done to our country. And the only thing to stop them is just you and me. But are we the people guaranteed? From the Minuteman to the Marines and every fighting soldier in between, it's God's guts and guns that keep America free. It's God's guts and guns that made America free. Lay it all down on the line for truth and liberty. If old George was alive today, he'd be a member of the NRA. It's God's guts and guns that made America free. It's God's guts and guns that keep America free. We gotta stop giving money to countries that hate us. Flip the bird to the United Nations. We gotta flip the collar over taxation frustration. I'm not giving all the best reparation. If old George was alive today, he'd be a member of the NRA. Cause it's God's guts and guns to make America free. It's God's guts and guns that made America free. Hell yeah, hell